Hi there. The question we got to delve into in today's video is how do athletes train for improved performance? I'm going to look a little bit more than not just how do they train, but we'll talk about how they should train. And we'll explore that next. The first part of this video, we're going to really kind of focus just on the body and what that really means to train the body, what that looks like. Then the second and third, we're going to kind of talk about different mind aspects or different aspects of training the mind that kind of come together and are often ignored in a complete training program. So we're going to kind of look at three different areas necessary for athletes to train and try to master in order to reach the peak performance. And then lastly, we're going to take a look at a couple of athletes who did that really well. They trained all three of those areas and constantly strove to get better and really reach the peak of their abilities in each of their sports. So we'll take a look at them as well. So from advanced behavioral modeling, when we begin to look at excellence or experts in any endeavor, and we want to try to find out what makes an expert so we can break that down and train other people, improve training programs. So in athletics in particular, but again, this is for any expert in any field, but we're going to look at the body. We're going to see what they do in their physiology, okay? So that's going to be the first thing. What is it that they're actually doing athletically that gets the results they get at? And we're going to ideally find the best of the best, the elite of all time. And we're going to see what they have in common, right? So I don't care whether it's from track and field, football, basketball, tennis, baseball, it doesn't matter the sport. You want to find the very best at what they did and what are they doing in their body? How do they breathe? How do they stand? How do they hold themselves? What is their posture like in doing this act? You're going to look at all of those things. Now, there is going to be a genetic aspect to that to a certain extent. For example, we know that baseball players, hitters, when they reach the highest level, they tend to, on average, have better eyesight than the average person. All right? Basketball players tend to have a longer wingspan than the average person. Swimmers tend to have shorter or longer trunks than the average person. So there's different genetic traits that do show up in these elite athletes at the highest levels in their sport. But that is not really what separates them from the pack. It's what they are doing with their body that separates their pack, and that's what we want to begin to focus on. So then you train those things, right? You are breaking down what they're doing, and then you're going to have to train your body to do the same thing, all right? Second thing, when you find an expert, you then want to begin to break down their belief systems, right? This is that part of the mind where you're breaking down what they believe, what they value, what they hold to be true about themselves and their abilities. So the values are like the motivational aspect, right? That's what is helping to drive them. And then their beliefs are also part of the motivational thing, but the beliefs are also kind of that guideline about setting up the structure within their bodies to be able to achieve certain results. If you do not, great example was the cultural belief around running for a while that the 4-minute mile barrier was impossible. All right, it couldn't be broken. That was a common belief amongst runners back in the day. Once Roger Bannister broke that and showed it was possible, several other runners broke it thereafter. So those beliefs that people have unconsciously about what is possible globally or what's possible for them specifically can greatly influence how their bodies operate and work. So we need to identify those. We need to show athletes how to eliminate ones that don't support their goals and their outcomes, and how to adopt ones that are more supportive of their goals and the dreams and the desires that they want to achieve. And then we also need to make sure values are lined up and that we kind of clear out any potential conflicts between values. We've got to look at different areas of their life and the values you hold in different areas of their life. So if you're feeling a tug and a pull in two areas of your life, that creates tension and anxiety within your body system. We need to show how to balance those out and how to alleviate that conflict. The last part that you need to train and think about is your thinking processes and your strategies and things like decision-making strategies and motivation strategies and ways that you have of making decisions about training methodologies, and not just like in sports thing, but your whole self-talk, things that you are saying to yourself, that you are doing inside your head before competition, during competition. That's what we're talking about with strategies, right? What's going on? What's the thinking patterns that are going on when you are competing or just prior to competing, right? How are you going about trying to get into that flow state so that you separate out the pre-programming so that you let the thinking happen unconsciously to just letting it flow, all right? So you have to look at those things. So this last part is really about thinking process and thinking patterns. It's about how you prepare for competition, how you prepare for practice, how you go about learning and improving, how you make decisions. The different strategies you have internally in your mind to do the things that you do need to be discovered and analyzed. That could be decision-making strategy. It can be a motivation strategy. Those are two really important ones to begin to understand how you go about motivating yourself and getting yourself prepared mentally to perform. They are connected to beliefs that you have, but different. So beliefs will influence your strategies, right? That's why they're both two aspects of mind and sports psychology related things, but they are slightly different. You need to be able to learn how to identify what you're running for a strategy, identify if it's really working well for you, or whether that's an area that maybe you could do something better or differently to make it more efficient. Then you need to learn how to, if you have to change a strategy, how to interrupt it and then install a new one. You need to learn how you go about thinking in the moment as well. What is going through your head as you try to get yourself into that flow state or that zone state? That's thinking patterns. That's how your brain is going about that preparation process and then performance. When you are in the flow state and flowing, your unconscious mind is running the programs unconsciously. It should be just reacting. So you want to make sure that that program that is running is the right one. It's the one that will work. So that when you consciously remove yourself and just let the body and the mind flow, that's where the term comes from, it's running those strategies that you need to run in order to perform at your best. Right? So that's that third piece that's often overlooked in training but needs to be done, is identifying and working on those thinking processes that will have impacts on everything you do, from emotional management to decision making to motivation, all those things. So let's look at two legendary athletes who both were noted for highly structured practice routines and regimens that included every aspect of their body trying to improve their skill set, their strength, their endurance, their balance, all of those things. They wanted their body to be running optimally, but they also worked tirelessly at developing their mindset, looking at what they believed to be true, looking at those strategies that they're running, doing all those things they needed to do mentally to be resilient and improve time and time again. Edwin Moses and Kobe Bryant both did that. Edwin Moses was a 400-meter intermediate hurdle legend. He won every race he entered for over 11 years. Did not lose a race. That consistency is remarkable. No second place, right? But that was built upon the belief systems. He said, quote, in an interview, "I believed it was totally possible. That's why I won for all those years, was I believed I could, and I could accomplish every goal I had." Those beliefs were essential, right? The mental toughness. He talked about the strategies he had. In some of the interviews he's done, he has specific strategies that he worked on in order to be better, mental strategies, right? That was a part of his training, as well as all the physical work. And Kobe Bryant, the same way. He would talk about anchoring techniques that he used to get in the cage, to become the actor that he was playing a role in, right? Doing those things mentally in order to be at his peak and to perform at the peak level. He did all of those things from practices and game preparation. He looked at each of those three areas and trained those with purpose and with intent. Once again, I invite you to subscribe to our channel, check out our other videos, and you might actually be interested in registering for our free webinar, Empower and Excel. The link to that webinar will be in the description for this video, but if you register for that and attend that, you're going to get a whole nother level of insight for what we talked about today. So check that video or that webinar out today.